Warning.
All right, everyone, welcome to Top 5. We are your hosts, Lee and Jason. Jason, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm doing great, man. Guys, as you know, our show tonight is going to be all about top 5 werewolf movies, guys. That's what we're going to rock and roll with tonight. Jason, you mentioned this earlier before the show began. I agree with you 100%. Not a lot of werewolf movies to choose from out there. I mean, you know
No,
what I mean? It's not a lot of variety, is that what your thoughts were, right? I mean, it's
no, I
difficult.
had to when we first decided on the werewolves, I was like, cool, man, I can do that. And then as soon as we got off the messaging, I was like, man, I can only think of like one or two right off my head. So I had
Yep.
to do a lot of research and I'd seen a lot. It's just there aren't a lot of werewolf movies. Not good
No,
ones, but
exactly. What I found out, going back through much like you did doing the research and stuff, there definitely are some out there, and there's some the ones that are out there that are fantastic. I believe are fantastic, and we'll get into those. But really, it seems like the wolf is more of a he's usually in a group movie, you know what I
yeah,
mean, with
yeah,
a variety of different
yeah.
monsters, or he's like the henchman of a vampire or something like that. You know what I mean? That's really typically where you wolves come into play in these horror films.
Well, I've got a feeling that we'll have a maybe a couple of the same ones on our list, but now I won't have Twilight. I don't know about you, but that didn't
I
make
won't
my
have
list.
Oh no, not no, because I would never have Twilight because part three was always the best. Oh, I just gave away part of my list. So no.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
would never choose the first Twilight. Now Twilight 3, Breaking Dawn, of course, man. No.
I I
Uh,
I've never seen any of them. I couldn't bring myself to do it, man. As soon as I
uh
heard something about a shimmering vampire, I was just turned off. Couldn't do it.
that that took you away from it, man. Well, I
Yeah.
unfortunately have seen the movies, seen all of them. That's why I was so happy that I was able to come up with 4 out of my top 5. No, Twilight
Yeah.
2,
Yeah.
Twilight 3.
It'll be
Yeah,
that's going to be easy to edit this one. That'll
yeah,
make it real
exactly.
easy to edit. I'm
Yeah,
fine with
man.
that.
No, but like I said, or like you just mentioned, the werewolf movies that are fantastic that I believe we'll have on our list here. are fantastic films, like, and actually a lot of groundbreaking films in a lot of ways, when it comes to special effects and things like that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and there was a year in particular that we'll get into that really was kind of like the glory days of werewolf movies.
Yeah, you just
Um,
pretty much summed it up right there.
yeah, exactly.
I could tell you
Yeah.
how old I was right there. Probably the same age as you.
Yep, very close to it, man.
Yeah.
I will say that before we get into it, that particular year, 2 out of the 3 made my list.
Okay. Yeah, I think a couple of them on mine might probably the same ones. But hey, let's just touch base real quick. I just wanted to we talked about it, maybe some of the viewers don't know, but James Hampton, who played the father in Teen Wolf, passed away last week. He was also known for he was the psychiatrist in Sling Blade. So maybe some people know him from that. But Teen Wolf was such an awesome movie, Michael J. Fox, and that was just an awesome movie, man. And one other thing I wanted to bring up real quick that I'm actually really excited about, and I know it goes into you with your other podcasts that you do, but Zack Snyder, Army of the Dead, come on, man, coming to Netflix next month.
Oh
Come
man,
on, man. I can't
yeah,
wait. I
that
can't wait.
trailer looked awesome.
It
I mean, it
does.
looks great. And I can't wait. That was it, May 21st, I believe, is
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
comes out.
yeah, that's right.
We're gonna have to do a review on that movie, man.
I think we should just make a show where we do a review about that afterward. We'll watch it and then do it like the next day or just keep it fresh. But
I'm
yeah,
all
I
about that.
can't wait, man. It looks good. Zombie movies are awesome, and Zack Snyder being part of it. Come on, man, it's gonna be awesome.
Yep,
Awesome.
fantastic director. For some of you guys who don't know, Zack Snyder directed 300, and then of course the Justice Man of Steel and Justice League, the 4-hour Justice League that just came out, and now he's got the zombie film coming out. Was it Army? I'm sorry, I can't remember the
Army
name
of
of
the
it.
Dead.
Army of the Dead, yes, coming out on May 21st on Netflix, and it looks fantastic. So you guys heard it here first. We're going to be reviewing that film, so stay tuned. In the next few weeks when it comes out, we'll be definitely reviewing it and giving you guys our thoughts on it.
Yeah, man.
Well, back to this particular episode, man, breaking into the werewolves, the Wolfman. What do you know him as, Jason? What do you prefer? What do you refer to them when you refer to werewolf? Do you refer to them as a werewolf or the Wolfman, or what? How's it
I
come out?
I actually I think they're two separate beings, really, man. But I think they can both be included in this list. But I didn't know how if we should label this Wolfman, Wolfmen, werewolves, or what, because they really, when you look at them, the way that they transform, they don't look alike. Your werewolf or usually has a longer snout, where the Wolfman, it looks more like a human with just, well, kind of like what I've got going on that my wife doesn't like that much, but just hairy, and what would you say Michael Jackson was in Thriller? Was he a werewolf or a wolf man?
Ooh, I guess I would go based on what you just broke down. I mean, because he wasn't on all fours.
No,
No, he ran on 2 legs.
that's a
I'm gonna
good
go with
point.
Wolfman. I'm gonna go
Good
with
point.
Wolfman. So I think
Yeah.
that's another good thing with the wolves. You know what I mean? They're not really on 4 legs. Or the Wolfmen are really usually typically on 4 legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're running around standing upright.
Yeah.
Very good. I'm glad you broke that down. See, thank you for breaking that down for me, man, and giving me the difference between the Wolfman and the werewolf.
Well, because
Always teaching me something.
I just had to, because there's maybe one or two on my list that you would consider a wolf man. So we'll see.
I love it.
No
I love it.
more. I'm not saying anything else.
Who wants to kick it off?
I'll
You
start.
want me to start?
I'll
Okay,
start.
you'll start.
I'll start. All right, wait, I always start. You start this time.
I will, by all means.
Yeah, you start this time.
All right, guys. For my number 5, I'm going to go with a film that was maybe one of the first horror movies I saw back in the day. You've heard me reference a lot of the creature feature films that came on Saturday night. Was it Count Gore Vidal? Am I wrong about that? Who used to host that, at least in our Washington D.C. area? He had a lot of the old classic horror films, and I encountered this one Saturday night, and it got me. It was really good. I'm talking about The Wolfman. It came out in 1941, starring Lon Chaney Jr. They actually just recently remade it, I guess 11 years ago, Wolfman, came out in 2010 with Benicio del Toro and Emily Blunt. But this was really good. I mean, they actually they were making Lon Chaney and all those guys were making a bunch of films back then. This was actually one of the last ones that came to come out. They had the Frankenstein, they had Bela Lugosi playing Dracula, and then a few years later they came out with the Wolfman, and it was kind of repopularized it. And then after that, they had the Wolfman meets Frankenstein, the Wolfman meets Dracula. You know, he was such a popular character, they started to kind of revitalize the rest of the classic horror guys with him. But no, I really thought this was a good movie. It's an old black and white film. Like I said, came out in 1941. It's about Larry Talbot. He returns home. He's going to visit a gypsy, I believe, and then he gets bit by a wolf. And then basically all hell ensues whenever the full moon comes up. You know, this is really notable too. I think it was one of them, if not the first. I think there was maybe one werewolf movie that came out in 1935 first. But other than that, this was maybe
a little different. Yeah.
One. Yeah. This is the first one. And, they did a great job with the transformation and all of that. For back then, it was groundbreaking special effects.
Yeah.
But for all, yeah. So that's kind of, it made my list because I kind of hold it near and dear as one of the first horror movies I saw, the old black and white films. And it really started it all.
Yeah. You know? Well, that's a Universal film. So, yes. You had your Dracula, your Frankenstein, your Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, all of those coming along. But what this did when they brought out the Wolfman was it brought back some of their old monsters, the Frankenstein, the monster. So you had Frankenstein versus the monster, or meets the Wolfman, and just a bunch of them. Then all three of them were in a movie together. I mean, they even jumped into different things. Three Stooges had the Wolfman and Frankenstein and stuff in, and all kinds
Abbott and Costello was one I remember specifically.
Yeah.
I think it was Abbott and Costello meet the Wolfman, and then like I said, and then it was all of them in there, Frankenstein. And it was all. What was great about it was the actual real, or the people playing them. You know what I mean? It wasn't just the Wolfman. It was Lon Chaney Jr. playing the Wolfman, meeting Abbott and Costello. And then Bela Lugosi playing Dracula, meeting them.
And Universal, their monsters, they pretty much cornered the horror genre back then. I mean, it was pretty much Universal. If you were going to see a horror movie that was good, it was usually a Universal film.
Indeed.
So that's awesome. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
So I kicked it off. Jason, passing the baton over to you.
All right, I'm coming in with mine is a 1994 movie just titled Wolf with Jack Nicholson. And this movie, to me, now he plays a guy named Will Randall, and he's an older publisher. They're bringing in a new guy who's, anybody who's older like me, you're not quite there yet, Lee, but when they bring in the young bucks, you kind of see that, these guys are going to be taking over, and you almost see that you kind of get that chip on your shoulder that, yeah, they're not quite good enough, but this guy that comes in, he's a good publisher, and he's ready to take over now. And Jack Nicholson's character thinks he has a little bit longer in him, but anyway, he ends up getting bit by a wolf, and it takes a little while for him to change. They go by the full moon theory that it's going to be a full moon before you transform into the werewolf or wolf man. I guess he was more of a wolf man in this film. But what I like, there's several things that I liked about this movie. I love the way the cinematography was, the way they shot this film was awesome. I liked that with his character, it was the little things that he started picking up on. It could just be he could hear better, and they brought that into it where he could hear people talking real far away, and he could smell stuff. Like one part, he smells that somebody had been drinking that morning, and they're like, how in the world did he know that? And of course, it's got like Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. She's his boss's daughter, and I can't remember the guy who plays
James Spader.
Yeah, and who's always a bad guy, man. Yeah.
He played
classic
a smarmy,
yeah, he's just slimy kind of guy, man.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Robert California, for you guys who don't know, is who we're from The Office, is who we're referring to, James Spader. Or Less Than Zero, the classic 80s
Great
heartthrob
movie.
guy who, yeah,
Yeah.
who typically played, like you said, Jason, the sleazy.
Yeah, he was,
Yeah.
man. He was.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing that a downside to that movie is they did a lot of slow motion shots and almost too many. There were a lot of them, but it was good tension build up. There were a couple of jump scares. It wasn't real gory, but I
Yeah.
just thought it was good. I mean, Jack Nicholson's great. I love when he's any movie that he's in, and this was a good portrayal of their attempt of doing a Wolfman style movie, and I thought they did a good job. I thought
Yeah,
they did a
I
good
believe it
job.
was directed by Mike Nichols, if I'm not mistaken, also. And you mentioned the great cast that was in there. Christopher Plummer, I believe, played her father, Michelle Pfeiffer's
Mhm.
father. Christopher Plummer also, I think, was a classic horror guy, right,
Yeah,
from back in
he
the
played Dracula a
70s.
lot too. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, played that. So it was great to have him in the cast. No, I think that's a great choice. We don't really see the wolf until the very end, actually, right, when he's
Right at
turning
the end.
into a, yeah, and there's a big fight in the stable or something
Yeah, and
like that,
the
if I'm not
fight's
mistaken.
good, and but like I
Yeah, it
say, it's
is.
almost too much slow motion. It was good,
Right.
but like every jump, every swing is like, all right, come
Right.
on,
And then
but it was good.
it was good, man. Very good, very great choice on that one. Actually, I love that movie, and Nicholson's just great. I mean, he's a fantastic actor, and
The
I
way
love
he
that he
can
did that
make his
genre
face
film.
look, man, like they he could make his face do. I don't know, man. I can't do it, so I'm not gonna try. But
Now it's been a while since I've seen it, but doesn't it end pretty much like he's just a wolf?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, he just turns into a wolf and runs into the forest, and I think that's it. Like
yeah.
he's fully
That's it,
transformed.
man.
Yeah,
That's it.
very cool movie. I actually did like that when it came out. I love it. All
Cool.
right, man. For me, my number four choice is this is a movie, man, that I thought was actually kind of surprised me. It was really good. And, it's one of the newer films that I actually have on this list. Oh, maybe a spoiler, but came out in 2012. It's called The Werewolf, the Beast Among Us. It actually, I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It's got, I don't know if you guys ever watched Eureka. It doesn't have the greatest like all-star cast, but there's definitely people that you've seen in films before. Ed Quinn from Eureka, Stephen Bauer from Scarface, Stephen Ray from the Crying Game, and then Nia Peebles, who
Oh
was
yeah.
a classic '80s. She was always on the '80s and '90s dance shows. She was always hosting it. She actually had a couple hits, but she's actually in the film too. But no, man, this was a lot of. It was fun. The story was interesting. It was really good. It kept me guessing all the way. You know what I mean? Until the very final moments of the film, it really did. Um, the actors, like I said, they're not like A-list guys, but they're really good actors in this. They do a fantastic job. In this particular world, uh, werewolves, when they turn into a wolf, they're actually a wolf for 3 nights, 3 full moons in a row. So it's not like just one full moon and you're good for a few days. You know what I mean? It's like in this particular story, it's 3 nights of terror that's given to you by the wolf.
Well,
It's
I'd
a
be
really
dead because I would just be waiting for the night to be over. Like, man, all we got to do is survive the night. We're good.
yeah. And then the next day you'd be like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
it's all over."
Yeah.
Um, but no, it is a really good surprise and twist in the movie as well. I don't want to ruin it for you guys. It's a little known film. I actually happened to stumble upon it a few years ago on Vudu, and it was one of these free movies that was kind of gifted to me, and I watched it, and I was like, "Wow!" I hadn't even heard of it at that point.
I don't
But
know if
man,
I don't think I've seen it. It
yeah, man,
sounds
check it
good
out.
though.
It
Well, if it's
is.
got
It is
Nia
actually.
Peebles in it, man, I'm down anyway.
Exactly. Any movie with Nia Peoples, right? It's got to be an
Yeah.
award-winning film.
Yeah.
But no, man, it's actually pretty. It's good. When I was going through my list, it'd been a while since I'd seen it, so I kind of watched a few pieces of it again, and it was just kind of refreshed my memory about it. And then I remembered the twist, and I was like, oh, so I don't want to ruin that. But man, please check this movie out if you guys haven't. Like I said, it's probably one of the lesser known films that we might be talking about tonight. But it's a good movie nonetheless.
Awesome, man. So you got me again this week. That's one that I haven't seen. I gotta
I
watch it
am
now.
shocked.
All right. I guess
Uh,
we'll jump into number 4.
Indeed, my friend.
All right. Mine actually you just mentioned it, but I'm going with the remake of it. The original was 1941. I'm going with the 2010 remake, The Wolfman.
Oh, okay.
And I really liked that movie. It was, to me, it was dark. Anthony Hopkins, Sir Anthony Hopkins,
That's right. I forgot to
he
mention him.
played the father to Benicio del Toro. I thought they did a great job of remaking that movie, and I don't know if it's a very underrated movie. I think I can't remember if something came out that year that kind of like washed it away, or but it was good, man.
What happened with that movie is, and I own that movie, and so I like that movie a lot. Uh, what happened is I believe it was delayed, and it was one of those films that kind of got delayed and reshot a few times or whatever, and it just when it came out, it didn't light the box office on fire, which
Mm-hmm.
is unfortunate. And I also believe it was a little late. They tried to do this much like they did Dracula and they did Frankenstein in the '90s.
Yeah,
They never really followed up with the Wolfman. They
no,
never really remade that, much like Francis Ford Coppola did with Dracula, and then Kenneth Branagh did with Frankenstein with De Niro. And
yeah.
he thought that would be the next logical one, but instead they wait 15, 20 years before they go back to revisit that. And again, I really enjoyed it. That's why I mentioned it. The only reason I chose the other one is because it was the original.
Sure,
But
man. And I love
you
that
know,
one
but
too.
yeah, but I really did enjoy that the 2010 one, and I totally neglected to mention that Anthony Hopkins was in there originally. So good call
Well,
about that.
I think I wonder too if that was when they were coming out with the remake Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. All of those were coming out around the same time, and I don't know if people at one point just said like, that's enough remakes, because I know at one point I was saying, man, they don't have any fresh ideas, but. And I would say when Friday the 13th came out, I said, I'm not going to see that. And I went to see it and I loved it.
Right.
Nightmare on Elm Street, not as much. Halloween, Rob Zombie did. I loved it. And this one, I really enjoyed it, man. I thought the graphics were great in it.
Yeah.
I think the storyline, they stayed pretty true to the storyline, added a little bit to it. But I think my favorite part of that movie is when they accuse him of being the killer and they put him in the mental asylum.
Yep.
And he's, trying to tell them like, hey man, you don't know what's getting ready to happen, but you need to let me out. You need to like chain me up or let me go, let me get out of here. And they're all like, he's crazy. We're going to prove that he's just crazy. And we're going to, wait till the moon turns full and just, show him, hey, it's just in your head. And they are mistaken, because that dude, and I don't want to give too much. I'm sure most people have seen it or have seen the original, but really check this one out, man. It's a great remake. I loved it.
Yeah, I did too, and um, it just really stands out. And like you said, special effects were fantastic. But Benicio del Toro is just a great actor. I've always
Sure,
liked
man.
him since The Usual Suspects. He's just
Hmm.
always got this oddness about him anyway. So he plays that character just so well. You know what I mean? I thought he did
He
a great
does.
job. The movie deserves a lot more. It deserved to be a bigger hit, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's what I was trying to say. I think it was just underrated, and
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why, but it was really underrated.
Yep, agreed. Well, very, very cool choice, man. I love it. Like I said, I own it, so awesome.
Werewolf?
There,
What?
there, wolf. There, castle.
Why are you talking that way?
I thought you wanted to.
No, I don't want to.
Suit yourself. I'm easy.
For me, man, my number 3 is a movie. We can't ever have a list without having something here by Stephen King, I guess. But you know, so this is mine. I saw this one actually probably when it came, not when it came on theaters, but when it came out on VHS.
A what? A V what?
VH, how do you pronounce that? VHS? No, but
Bus.
VHS, yes, yeah. But no, we're talking about Silver Bullet. It came out in 1985. Again, based on a novella by Stephen King. It starred Corey Haim and Gary Busey. And it's also a great whodunit because there's a lot of killing or murders going on in this town, right? And people think there's a serial killer out there, but this boy Corey Haim, who's in a wheelchair, he thinks that it's a werewolf. And this is a really good, Gary Busey is whatever he is nowadays, but this is when he was still doing, still, I mean, Gary Busey is an Oscar nominated actor. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't know if people remember that about him, but this is not too far removed from that time period when he was Oscar nominated. So I think he does a great job with this movie. He's the boy's uncle who actually starts to believe him. You know what I mean? A little bit. There's some great scenes in this film, man. So many great scenes, like this one at the back of the greenhouse, I think it is, or the backyard, or something like that. And the werewolf is. I mean, as a kid when I saw it, it was pretty creepy. It was really pretty creepy, scary film. And like I said, it's also a mystery thriller because, you don't know who the werewolf is. You really don't even know till the very end
Right.
who the actual werewolf is. And there's actually a scene in the film when the guy who I don't want to give it away, I guess, if people haven't seen it, but people probably have.
I think most people have, but
Yeah, most people have. So we'll talk about it. It's the preacher. But there's a scene where the preacher's sitting there and he's giving a sermon, and one of his he's dreaming. You don't realize this, in the movie when it happens. But then everybody starts turning into a werewolf in the church. And I remember watching that and being like, "Whoa," you know what I mean? And then you still didn't realize it was him. That they're just showing you this dream. They don't give you the answer that he's the actual werewolf at that point in time. I don't believe
no.
they do. Yeah, you don't
I
really know
will
until the
say,
very end.
that's actually my number 3 too.
Oh, is it really? All right, let's talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah. So yeah, I love it. Me and Stephen King, man. I love Stephen King. And I've told you before and said on other shows that that's how I used to do my book reports, is watch the movie and then until I got caught. But no, I loved it, man. And that really that was one of the only movies that's ever been done that a kid actually narrates. It's told from a kid's perspective.
Yes.
And then you had like Stand By Me and of course stuff like that later. And Stephen King, I think, is one of the only ones that does that, uses the child's point of view. I remember when I was a kid and like that, a lot of it's just an adult telling you a situation. But
Yep.
this is now, of course, they're older at this point. She's talking about when her and her brother were younger. Uncle Red, of course, hang on, it just slipped my mind, from Gary Busey, that and that's kind of what I picture Gary Busey as, Uncle Red.
Yeah.
What I mean? That's what I
Yeah.
think he's probably like that in real life. But he was the uncle that everybody loved. The parents that didn't like him that much just because he drank a little bit and he was a little bit wild. But he gave Marty, Corey Haim's character, the fireworks that he snuck out that night, and he went to shoot him off, and and he shot the bottle rocket off, and that's when he's like, all right, now we'll know who it is. And it still took some convincing for other people. And I think that's when his sister believed him once she saw the eye.
Was it in the I think it's two different scenarios I'm trying to remember. When he went to the barbershop. Is that that's what he went to the barbershop looking to see who it was. The guy had his face covered with the cloth.
Yeah.
It turns out it wasn't that guy though.
No.
And then he goes to get, I think, to either turn some cans in or something like
the
that.
Sister, the sister went
yes.
to do, which people don't know that anymore. I mean, people our age know that there was a big recycling center, so you gathered all your cans in one area. But yeah, she was taking it to the church and dumping it in the big garage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the preacher came in, and she saw that baseball bat or whatever from one of the killings. Yep. And from one of the school kids that had gotten in a fight with a werewolf. And that comes up a lot, where the town people, they just think that some crazy serial killer is on the loose, and this one, Corey Haim's character Marty, is just like, it's a werewolf, and they're like, you're a kid, you don't know anything. And then when he hits the actual werewolf in the eye, that's a good, I like that part, because now all they have to do is find whoever has a messed up eye. And then Gary Busey, being the great uncle that he is, and he loves his niece and nephew, so they get him, they talk him into making the silver bullet, to kill the werewolf or whatever. And he's still, until that night, at the end, he's still like, yeah, you guys, go to bed. That's enough. And then, it happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you mentioned the bridge scene, and that was actually, I remember watching it for the first time, and the werewolf was coming and he's kicking the light, he's trying to get the thing lit, you know what I mean? And the werewolf's coming closer and closer and closer, and it finally gets it done. And yeah, no, man, good stuff. And Corey Haim, rest in peace. But this is during his one of the 80s films, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He did a good job. He actually did a really good job in this film too.
That made me a Corey Haim fan. And I already like Corey Feldman from Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and also the Goonies and stuff like that. So when they started making, and they were huge in the 80s, man, making movies together. I love the Lost Boys, and we'll save that for another list, I think. But
Indeed.
and then they had one the one about the car where they were licensed to drive. Yeah, but they were great together, man. I loved them together, man. Yeah, that was a shame. That's one of those terrible stories about the 80s child actors, man. It's a bunch of them.
Well, we'd be remiss not to mention, since we've mentioned pretty much all of them, we have to say Dream a Little Dream also. I couldn't let that be going without them saying without that one also. It sounds like we're doing best films of Corey Haim and Corey Feldman from the 80s now.
Probably could. Yeah.
No, man. So awesome choice, man. Number 3, Jason, something tells me.
Yeah, our top 2 might be in alignment too.
They might be in alignment. I'm wondering though, I think they probably will be in alignment, or at least we'll have the same top 2. But I think we're going to be in the same alignment.
Yeah, it's turning out that way.
It's my turn, and if you have the same one, let's just talk about it.
Okay.
And if you don't say anything. All right. I'll just talk. All right. My number 2. Earlier we referenced that 1981 was a fantastic time for werewolf movies. They had 3 huge werewolf movies. One was really huge, and the other 2 are cult classics. I'm talking about my number 2 is The Howling.
Same here.
All right. Yep, came out 1981, as I said, directed by Joe Dante, starring the mother from E.T., Dee Wallace-Stone. Yeah, dude. Good flick. Really, I think so. Really good.
Let's before we get off of Dee Wallace, but while we're talking about Dee Wallace, she is like a huge star, and I can't believe that I never really pictured her as a scream queen, but man, she's in several Rob Zombie movies. She was in The Frighteners, Critters, Cujo as the mother. She was in E.T. The Hills Have Eyes. And I was looking like on IMDb at her, list of roles, and dude, she was in so many 70s, 80s, and 90s sitcoms. It just incredible some of the things that she was in. If you can think of a sitcom from the 70s, 80s, or 90s, she was in it, man. Wow. At some point in time, she was in it. It's just incredible, man. And another thing that really got me excited, because we're filming Joe, and they filmed that movie in 28 days. 28 days. See,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. 28 days.
Wow. That's awesome.
And everybody thought it was going to be terrible because it was rushed in 28 days, but it turned out, like you said, it's a cult classic.
Totally is, man. Totally is. And it's a great horror movie in its own right, or horror movie, werewolf movie, but it's overshadowed by what I would say the other movie that came out that same year. But before we move on, let's keep talking about this one. This was awesome. It actually starts off like pretty crazy. I mean, she's a reporter, a news reporter, who I believe is trying to help catch what they believe is a serial killer. So he's supposed to meet her at some porn shop or something like that, and she goes inside of a peep show, and then while she's there, he tries to attack her, and then they probably get that guy because it's a sting operation that's being set up. So the cops get him, but then she can't stop. Or I think he actually scratches her, doesn't he? He scratches her then. Right? Yeah, he scratches her then, and she just can't get him. It was a pretty traumatizing experience for her. So her and her husband, they go to what they think is like a place, a getaway, to kind of recuperate and to get her thoughts together. Of course, was the worst place she could have gone. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst place she could have gone. And actually, it just occurred to me, I believe the guy who played her husband in this is the same guy who plays her husband or boyfriend in
Oh,
Cujo.
yeah. I didn't even think about that. Not
I
the
didn't either until we
husband,
just started talking about it.
but the
He was
boyfriend.
the
Yep.
he was the boyfriend that was coming out, and she
Yeah.
was cheating on her husband with.
Yeah.
Because that's right, because her husband in Cujo was the guy from Hardcastle and McCormick. I'm
Yeah.
going hard
That's
80s on
right.
this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going hard 80s. But
Yeah.
no, so all that being said, go back to the Howling.
The good point. Good one. Though. I didn't even put that together until you said it.
I didn't either, man, until we started talking about it, and I started referencing her husband because while he's there, of course, that he's they're at what it becomes is they're at some cult, but they're at some wellness place for her to kind of recuperate and get this traumatic experience away. But while they're like I said, the cult is basically full of wolves as well, full of werewolves, man. And
She can't win, man. Like,
she
hey,
can't.
we'll go relax. We'll forget about this for a while, and you'll be better when we get back.
Yeah,
And then
there's
just
some mountain retreat. It's terrible.
yeah,
Terrible. With a killer awesome end scene.
yeah.
I mean, it's like when she's sitting there. I remember I actually heard about this movie quite a bit before I actually saw it. Because I've made reference to this before. A lot of my family members are huge horror fans, so I would hear them talking about the movie, and the end. I think that was a pretty surprising end for back in
Yeah.
1981.
I think so.
Because nobody knew. I think everybody thought she was good to go, and she's out there. The movie ends, guys. Again, I think anybody who's wanted to see this probably seen it by now.
If you're a werewolf fan, you've seen The Howling.
Exactly. So she's sitting there and she's giving the news report, and in front of the nation, in front of the nation, and all of a sudden she starts to turn into a wolf.
That's gonna be me one day, dude. I'm just gonna be like, you know what? I've been telling you people about this and this.
Man, I told you it was really awesome. And there's also a classic scene in that film. The guy's like, let me give you a piece of my brain. You know what I mean? Or a piece of my mind. I want to give you a piece of my mind. And he pulls out the piece of his mind. It's the actual killer that she was after at the very beginning, played by Robert Picardo of Star Trek Voyager and Wonder Years fame. So there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, can I also say too, I think this is the only one so far that was a series. Like there were more after this one, right? There were two. You didn't like three. Three was like a late night Skinamax type deal, man. They had so much like it was like a soft porn almost.
With part two was like that too, actually. The part two, I think pretty much all of them. I remember actually going to rent those as a kid and actually not being able to. I mean, besides that one that you mentioned that was had some crazy scenes, but they were just. I thought they were terrible. I don't think I made them. I tried to make them through. A lot of them were from Australia and stuff. You know what I mean? And they didn't. It's one of those movies. I think that part two, The Howling 2, is the only one. If I'm maybe I'm hoping I'm not wrong. The only one that actually tries to be like a sequel. That actually kind of follows the storyline. I believe it's about Dee Wallace's brother trying to uncover what happened to her.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are just sequels and
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to do with them.
But if you have a fetish about female werewolves, check out 2 and 3 and keep on going with them.
Sybil Danning is the star of part 2. If you guys don't know, she was one of the not adult films, but like you said, in a lot of those more risque type of films back in the 80s. And she followed suit in this movie as well.
Yeah.
But no, The Howling is a classic, great movie. The sequels, please don't pick up one of those by accident, because
watch the first one. You can check out the second and third one, fourth and fifth, however many there are, but they're just, I think that's like we say all the time. That's one of those movies that they made some money off the first one. They were probably surprised at what they made off of it and said, hey, let's do it again. And they shouldn't have. They really shouldn't have.
Not at all. But yeah, man. Well, I love the fact that we have our top 3, because I can only imagine what number 1 is as well. I can't imagine anything different. But
if yours is different from mine, I'm going to be shocked because I think both of ours, we'll just get into it, but it's got to be the one because it should be on top of everybody's werewolf top 5 list.
Exactly, man. So why don't you give it up? Because you're next.
Twilight Saga Part 3.
Yeah. How did you? Man,
Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
Moss, I mean, we knew it. We knew it.
Yeah. No. 1981, like Lee mentioned, it's there were several of them that came out that year. Three big ones, but this one overshadowed the other two, An American Werewolf in London. And
fantastic film.
Great movie, man. Great movie. And directed John Landis.
Yep.
I mean, just almost a household name for being director back in the 80s, man. This dude just
what was interesting about him is he was more of a comedy director.
Yeah.
I mean, he did Animal
House.
Maybe the Blues Brothers too.
Yeah, he did the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, I mean, and this, so Trading Places, but this was a different type of film for him, man.
Yeah, it still had
it did
his comic touch, I guess you would say, but
I
just loved it, man. It was great. It was a great movie, and I'm thinking almost everybody's seen this one, but basically it's following 2 college students that are doing a tour in Britain, and they're attacked by a werewolf, and one of them, he gets mauled to death, and the other guy's hurt pretty bad too. And but they killed the werewolf, right? Yeah, they killed that werewolf.
The villagers did.
The villagers did, but the villagers didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to, even bring up werewolf or anything, but because they knew there were more out there, and they just wanted to, they didn't want to get publicity brought into this, I guess.
Yeah, into the
but
town.
I guess the guy, he's the survivor, he starts having these crazy dreams, or maybe they weren't dreams. He was seeing his friend again. His friend's all messed up and just, just like he was when he got killed. And but he's seeing other victims too, and they're pretty much just telling him, kill yourself before you change. You don't want to be a werewolf, just kill yourself. And I will say that this movie is probably to date the best transformation of a human to a werewolf ever, dude. And that was I think they won special effects.
I believe so. They were at least nominated for sure. If not, if they didn't win it.
That's just the way to watch the knuckles stretch out and the snout pulling out. That's scary. And just watching that scene, the transformation was horrific as a kid watching it anyway.
Oh my gosh, yes. Dude, you mentioned that. That was one of the most ones where it showed it was like painful. I mean, most werewolves, it was just like he was just like it just showed him maybe growing some hair and stuff like that. But this guy is in terrible pain. I mean, he's seeing his bones stretching out his hand. He's feeling every bone in his body just transforming. You know what I mean? And he is in horrible, horrible anguish and pain. And that was pretty horrific. And then, as you mentioned, what was different, you already said it, but I'll just kind of reiterate, is that not only is he cursed with the werewolf changing into it, but he's cursed with seeing the victims.
Yeah.
Every victim that comes from that werewolf bloodline, starting with his buddy who was there with him, and then everybody that he kills keeps coming back to him.
And that's a new spin. That would be terrible.
Totally new spin, yeah. And every time, and his buddy, and the 2 guys are David Naughton, who is, for us, people of our age, he was big. I'm a pepper, you're a pepper. Would you like to be a pepper too? He was big. He was known for being that. I think it was in a couple of Dr. Pepper commercials. You know what I mean? It was walking around singing that song. And then Griffin Dunn, who has gone on, who was actually his little sister was in Poltergeist, who actually was murdered later on. Didn't you say her name was
Dominique?
Yeah, Dominic Dunn. So Griffin Dunn, who's gone on and he's still in some shows, and then he's a good director, and done a lot of directing and stuff like that. He plays his buddy. He keeps coming back. And every time he comes back, he's more decomposed.
Yeah.
You know, the first time we see him, he's kind of mauled, you know, like by the werewolf. But then every time he comes back and talks to his friend, to say, you know, just kill yourself and get this over with, he's just more and more rotten. You know what I mean? Flesh is just hanging off of him, and it's just getting worse and worse shape. All that being said, we talked a lot about the gore. It's really gory. The transformation is crazy, but they do find some lightness in it. John Landis does put his trademark comedy. There's definitely a couple laugh out loud scenes, you know what I mean, with just situational stuff that happens, you know what I mean. But for the most part, man, really great movie. It totally came out with The Howling, and Wolfen is the other movie that came out in 1981. But this movie overshadowed both of them. And I remember driving by the State Theater and actually seeing this poster up out there on the street side when I was a kid growing up, man. And of course, my family was talking about, my aunts and uncles were talking about this movie a lot, and I finally got to see it, and it's great. It's the best werewolf movie I've seen. That's last number one years as well. I mean, right? It was great, good stuff.
No, I think if you think of werewolf, you think of this movie. I mean, just the transformation into the werewolf, you think of this movie. If you think of Wolfman, you would probably think of the classic 1941 Universal movie, The Wolfman. I mean, that's the difference to me. I think of the black and white Wolfman, or if I think about werewolf, I think of this movie here. And I think that most of the movies that came after that went off of this movie of what they wanted their werewolf to kind of look like.
Yeah. This is one of those wolves that was running on all fours and stuff like that. And you're absolutely right, Jason. He wasn't just nominated. Rick Baker, he actually won.
Okay.
You're absolutely right about that. He definitely won the Academy Award for the transformation,
which is a pretty big thing for a horror movie to win any kind of award.
Oh, 100% correct. Yeah, for sure. They actually had another sequel. This movie came out come out like maybe 16 years later, American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah.
And that was just it was a sequel, as they call it, a sequel, but it didn't have anything to do with the other movie at all. And it wasn't. I saw it, but it wasn't that great.
I was hoping I wasn't going to say that when I introduced this one. I hope I wasn't going to say an American Werewolf in Paris. I actually glanced back down at my paper like, make sure. Yep. Don't mislead people. And then they're like, oh, I'm never watching this guy again. Yeah.
Oh man. Nah, dude. So yeah, I figured, like we said, guys, going into it, I think the movies that we have chosen are the cream of the crop. There's a lot of other movies out there, a lot of other werewolf movies out there that I probably need to go. There's one that came out just this year, actually, or late last year, The Wolf of oh gosh, and I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but supposed to be good reviews. I wish I never brought it up now because I can't think of the name of it. But it came out in 2020. That's supposed to be a really good movie as well, but I haven't checked it out. But I will.
There was a couple on the list that almost made my list. There was one called Cursed with Christina Ricci.
Directed that.
Yeah, that's for I guess he wanted to throw in a werewolf type movie for to go with the other horror movies that he did. Ginger Snaps I thought was not bad. I don't know.
That
you
wasn't
might
bad.
think I'm weird for that one, but
no, I mean it wasn't bad. I saw that actually has two sequels to it. Ginger Snaps 2 and Ginger Snaps 3. The Wolf of Snow Hollow. That is the movie I was trying to think of, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but perhaps that might be on our list later when we get into it.
Well, and I thought as far as werewolves go, but it's part of something else, and I didn't put it on my list because of that. But Underworld: Rise of the Lycans.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was great, man. I thought it was a great story that went along with it, and those werewolves were beasts, man. They were just tough. But I didn't put it in there because it was part of Underworld, so I didn't want to mix it up.
No, I agree. I actually considered that as well, but I was looking for something, as I said, it's hard to find that just a straight werewolf movie without having some other type of monster or something attached to it. So that's kind of why I was following the same. I followed suit with you, same line of thinking as that because it was vampires running around in there. You know what else? I also thought about Monster Squad. As a I love that movie, man. I
what
actually I turned my kids on to it a few months ago. It
what
was
did
pretty
the
good.
boy tell him? What did the boy say? The wolf man's got nads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember he kicked it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, dude. So that one, and then again, that's a pretty good one that deals with all of the Universal monsters.
yeah.
But they came
That's
back.
a great movie. Great movie to watch with the kids.
Yeah, it was, and we all enjoyed it. It was good stuff, man. But no, I mean, and actually, I thought of one too and then I was like, oh wait, that wasn't even a werewolf movie. Fright Night. I was thinking of the scene where Evil
Yeah,
Ed is turned into the wolf, and then he's chasing him. But that's when he died. I mean, that's a pretty great transformation scene, also.
that's a great transformation scene.
You know
But
what I
I don't
mean?
know. I still don't understand how he turned into a werewolf. But I
Yeah,
guess that was just.
everybody's got their different lore. You know what I mean? And in this
But
particular
didn't
movie,
in that one the vampire turned into a wolf at one time, didn't he? Like when they were in that alleyway or something. Didn't he turn into a wolf, or was maybe I'm mistaken? But
I don't recall. Fright Night's a great movie, though. I do enjoy. I
it's an
think that's a good
awesome
movie.
movie. What about
Yeah,
part two?
part two wasn't terrible.
It wasn't
I
as
didn't think
bad
it.
as some of them.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Actually, there's some redeeming qualities to it. I think what was wrong with that one is Chris Sarandon was just such a major presence as the
Yeah,
vampire. I mean,
yeah.
yes, Roddy McDowall did a great job, and so did Charlie Brewster, or the guy who played Charlie Brewster. And Peter Vincent was Roddy McDowall's character's name. Peter Vincent and Charlie Brewster were the guys, or the gal, or the two guys that were in there. No, Fright Night was great, but my whole point of bringing that up is I was like, oh yeah, what was that movie where that guy was? And I was thinking about, I was like, oh wait, that wasn't even a
Evil
werewolf movie. Yeah, I was like, that wasn't even a werewolf movie. He was just a wolf, and so I can't
Yeah,
choose that. You know, he was just a wolf for like 5 minutes. But what stood out to me was the transformation.
it was a great transformation, and I think that kind of came from an American Werewolf in London, the way it
Yep.
was done.
Yeah, you're probably right,
Because
man.
his was painful too when he transformed in.
Oh, yep, it was. It very much was. No, so really good choices, man. Really
Yeah,
great movies. I'm actually pleased that we actually had the same because somebody
yeah,
a good horror connoisseur like yourself, it makes me feel good that I chose three good movies that you also chose. So I mean,
no,
and I think these are the cream of the crop, though.
yeah, I think so. I think if you look at almost any top 10, top 5 list, these are going to be at the top. At least
Mhm.
our top 3 would be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But
No,
somebody
man,
in Hollywood needs to make some more werewolf movies and make them good.
indeed,
They really do.
indeed. Yeah, let that be the next thing that kicks off. You know, we've had the vampires, we've had the zombies, werewolves did their time in the sun.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Moonlight. In the moonlight.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Werewolves did their time in the moonlight. Let's
That's
make it
right.
happen, guys. Let's make it happen. There's got to be some great ones out there,
Yeah.
or still to be made.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a BT Haunts. We'll do a werewolf movie.
Oh, there you go. I love it,
Yeah.
man.
After we make a lot of money off the first movie, that we can
There
do
you
all
go.
the CG stuff.
Yeah, buddy. I like it.
Cool.
Well, cool, guys. Well, listen, thank you guys very much for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed the movies that we named. If you haven't checked them out by now, please go out and check them out. They're really great films. Please immerse yourself in them. Let us know what you guys are thinking about it. Please comment comment. Let us know your thoughts. Maybe we missed a good werewolf movie that you guys want to see or that you guys have seen. Turn us on to it. Hit the like and the subscribe button. You know, we want again, please do that. And we also want to hear your thoughts. Give us
Yeah.
some good feedback.
Yeah, man.
All
Awesome,
right. Well,
Lee.
Jason, it's been fun as always, my friend.
Yeah, man. I can't wait till the next one. And we'll see. I think the next one's going to be a little tricky too. I've got something in mind for that.
All right. You want to share? You want to keep it close to the vest?
Nah, let's not say anything yet. It'll
All right,
be
guys.
a
Well,
surprise.
tune in for the next episode. Then we will give a surprise top 5.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening.